All right, thanks for staying with us. We have another story to take you through on page 3 of the Standard. Remember, in addition to my guest here in studio, Vivian Wamboi is also to join us. I'll let you know when she is here. But meanwhile, if you turn to page 3 of the Standard, this is a story that a lot of Kenyans have been talking about and trying to figure out exactly what happened. KeBS clears Dola, Kifaru, UNGA brands. The KeBS, the Kenya Bureau of Standards, yesterday lifted a suspension on the Dola and Kifaru maize flour brands, saying they have complied with stipulated standards. The two brands, which were among 5 others which were declared unfit for human consumption due to high levels of aflatoxin, and the lifting of the suspension was communicated to the millers in a notice. Meanwhile, KeBS in the notice directed that the 2 millers, that is Dola and Kifaru, arrange for the destruction of the products that were declared unsafe. And that's a question many Kenyans were asking. Has KeBS sort of verified that Dola and Kifaru have gone around the country, picked any of the products that were declared unsafe and destroyed them before lifting the suspension? And many Kenyans were quite unclear about that. I don't know who to start with on this one. Mariga, your thoughts on this? Let's start with you.
I think people are confused by it.
First of all, are you still eating? Do you eat unga? Are you still eating it?
I'm still eating ugali. Yeah, I just think
ugali,
we will all die at some point. But people are confused because the unga problem hasn't started now.
That attitude is slightly worrying.
Yeah, I remember this issue was first brought to the House of Parliament in 2017. A report was given on the state of flour in Kenya and aflatoxin. Not a single action was taken until about 2 days before the expose on aflatoxins was done. And then suddenly a raid came. I find that suspicious, but it's a very private opinion. That action came a few days before the expose, right after KeBS are reached out to. And so now people have had continuous questions because maize is our staple meal and most people eat ugali. And so what do people do? People can't even afford to move. It's not a matter of luxury, right? This is not a luxury food. There were 5 brands and a lot of these brands all people use regularly. You're telling people who primarily live under the poverty line to suddenly throw away the flour that they have. When you don't have options, and that's one of the worst things about this whole situation. And it points to a much bigger problem, which is pointed over time, over the efficacy of KeBS. Right? Over time, there are products which have passed through their systems, which are faulty, which are dangerous, and multiple times. And so even when they declare it toxic vis-a-vis when they declare it 3 weeks later, people still have no faith in it at this point. And this is not the only thing that's been questioned. And so I don't think people will stop eating it. The question is, will we hold KeBS to a higher account?
That's the question.
Yes, that's the bigger question.
Because, if you look at KeBS, the history of KeBS, in terms of analyzing the food we eat in this country, they have told us there was sugar that had
mercury.
We don't know where that story ended. Now they're telling us there's this ugali that has some, I don't even know how to pronounce that word properly. What is it?
Aflatoxin.
Aflatoxin. You know, seriously. Yeah, because how do you just wake up when there's an investigation going on, an investigative story by a media house, and then you get a leak, and then you tell us you have suspended this, and they're already on the shelves. People are eating, people are buying that. Even when you're suspending, when you claim it to be suspending, guys were on supermarkets buying this kind of maize flour. And then days later, you come back to the country and tell people they have lifted the suspension. What have you done to prove that it's fit for human consumption? Because they are the ones who say this ugali is not fit for human consumption. Then I don't think even 2 weeks passed since that story came up, and now they're telling us it's fit for human. Personally, I don't eat ugali. Nothing personal. So
declaring your...
Yes, unless I go to a nyama joint, you'll hardly see me going to a restaurant and order for ugali. It's not because I have anything bad against ugali, but it has never been my favorite. I'd rather go and ask for pilau or something like that. Yeah. But the thing is, ugali is a staple food in this country. Many people eat it, and we don't have to play around it. Because when you come and tell us this ugali has some bad thing in it, don't eat, and then days later, even not a month, you come and tell the same ugali is fit for human consumption without showing the nation a reason to believe you, I think KeBS is trying to...
So you still have some questions in your mind?
They are taking Kenyans for a ride.
Okay.
And if you remember very well, the former MD for KeBS died a very, a dejected man because of what
the
he
one
wanted
was
to do.
I think in 2009.
Yeah, 2009.
Yes.
He died this year, 2019. But this thing was done 10 years ago. You know, if you follow the story well, this whole issue of maize having problem was done 10 years ago. But because we're in a country where, no one takes people's life serious, no, seriously.
It's a game.
It's a game, no one cares, no one takes people's life serious. Today they tell us this sugar has mercury. Guys make noise on social media. We move on until the next victims come up.
Until the next victims come up.
Very unfortunate
Vivian Wamboi joins us. Thank you for joining us in the program today.
Thank you for having me. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late. It's my work description. I was working yesterday night somewhere.
Okay, welcome. Yes. I'll give you a minute to catch your breath as I get a quick reaction from Arnold Maliba on this. Are you still eating your favorite?
Why not? Because but I just have got very bad news for Ahmedkadar. But there's also aflatoxin on rice. It's important that you just realize that you're not safe.
We're laughing over a very serious matter. I must say this.
We are all in this. So I'm looking at various issues. Number one, when KeBS came out and said they are withdrawing these brands from shelves, they never spoke about the batches, the specific batches that should actually be withdrawn. Then they show up and then tell us that those guys have actually complied. Is there an anti-aflatoxin that was actually injected in the batches they already had?
Yes.
That was not withdrawn. It's still in distribution. Yeah. I remember a friend of mine saying, when they said that they now have lifted on Kifaru, she said, I think I was very wise to not throw away my Kifaru stock that I had. Now I can go back to consuming it. So you realize we have got a problem of governance here. Here, the problem is governance. Because when it comes to standards, if KeBS did its work very well, they would not be arresting this situation while it already has gone to, because it's cost money. People have put in money in the value addition process, right from farming all the way. Aflatoxins show up mostly during preservation. So right from farming all the way to the shelf, that is when somebody is actually picking up that problem and telling people that it is here. Same thing with all the other industries, including the aviation industry, where they say so-and-so how certain aircrafts have to be pulled off the skies. And then shortly they show up and say, those guys have complied. So you are wondering, did they do a balance between enterprise needs and the sense for safety? There's a failure in communication, there is a failure in governance, a total one and a very big one at that. Our regulatory framework in the country is very wanting, literally everywhere. If it's not being politicized for ends that do not really speak to the very situation in that particular sector, they are sleeping on their job. So, and everything, by the way, let's just say the truth, everything is politics. I know Mariga said, and I will still disagree with that he puts a lot of premium and he says that to him so much is given, so much is expected. Yes. So he's speaking about looking at the leadership. It's time we looked into the mirror and said, we have seen our enemy and he is us. The ballot is still king. The decisions we make, because the leaders we choose that end up running government, because the administration has been there for so long. We do. We make a decision and try. Just the kind of people they choose. Whether it's rational or irrational, we make a decision.
Yeah, I know. That's a discussion for another day.
Whatever way, and we are not going to give up and say we totally have no control over our fate. Then we have no business being here and even breathing. Why do you wake up in the morning if you know, as in everything out there? Why should we have ambition? Why should we plan? Why should we do anything waiting for tomorrow if we've got that mentality that we do nothing about it? So it's upon us. The failure of governance starts with us, the people, we the people. That is why in the Constitution, when we start, it starts off so clearly that we the people are giving ourselves this particular set of rules. So can we move it back to us? Do we ask questions that really matter? The people who ask questions, for example, are they protected? Or if you speak up, you are labeled all manner of things, and I'll probably go ahead. And what we are having today, probably in the economy, where it is today, there are people who actually kept on telling us, we are even making them look like they are Jewish prophets. Like whatever they told us 5 years ago, whatever they told us 7 years ago, it's coming to pass. And we were here, we called them names. I'll tell you a few, just to mention a few. When you remember the David Dees of this world, the Mohammed Walis of this world, even some of us showed us on this show, and you will say things and people bash you seriously. Then today those things are coming to pass, and now we are finding reasons to explain them. It's like, now what do we do? You told us, so what? The essence of public participation must actually be deepened, it must be enhanced, it must be taken seriously, that politics is serious business. And we're not talking about the politician's level, we're talking about the individual level. Because I am we are because I am. And the leaders are what they are. Our situation that we are in, we have contributed to this. So, generally looking at where we are, from the food we eat to everything, dirty water, having an MCA, for example, somebody at City Hall who has got water bowsers and therefore ensures that there is no water.
You have many
that goes to that. So they work around that. Okay. It's all about us. And devolution was to help us sort this. That's why at any particular day, I know if there's anything you cannot take away from Kenyans, should be devolution.
Should be devolution. Okay, hang on to your thoughts for that. Vivian, any comment? Are you still eating ugali in your house? First of all, when you see notices like this, KeBS has banned this, sometimes it's peanut butter, sometimes it's... What are your immediate thoughts?
Well, I think just the fact that we are still talking about food, it means we are really doing badly as a country, because, there are so many things that need to be repaired. Of course, being in the entertainment industry, it's a song we sing every other day. We put up posts and we said, MCSK is eating our money. They paid even the cream of the industry 2,500 shillings. Yeah. 25-30 there, I forget. So it's definitely such a negative and bad vibe all around, because at the end of the day, it just shows, like he was saying, there is little regard for humanity. And so when we have a governance that does not care about its individuals, then that means we are swimming in the murky waters. So I love ugali. It's a huge favorite, and in my house I always have it. So when I think about the fact that even as an individual and for my family, I do not have safety or protection, and my government does not care, then it means, we are really doing badly.
You feel that your government does not care?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like, in Kenya, the story has always been the citizens do so much, and then they do more, and then the government does nothing, and then it does less.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's one way to put it. Okay, so that's how you feel.
That's how I feel generally, because we are hard workers. We work, like I was saying, yesterday I had an event and I left at 3 a.m.
Oh, you left at 3 a.m.? 3 a.m. You basically had 3 hours of sleep?
I've had 2 hours of sleep, and I'm here, and I wanted to contribute to this conversation because I feel like, we need to deepen it. We need people who come out and speak, like when Sauti Sol last year, they said, the mantras that all these political parties have, are nothing. They're just words that they put out.
And they were really bashed
for that. And they
were
bashed completely for
that.
And that's the funny,
Wait, let her finish. We have gentlemen here, and then Stable, go ahead. Yeah.
And they were completely bashed. And it's the same thing when we get into those corridors, because I know the person now who's in charge of MCSK, and I tried to have a talk with her, and I was just like, there's nothing.
You're not going anywhere.
Yeah, we are not going anywhere. Let me just do my job. But then, if even at the mere, like just the foundational aspect, I'm trying to do my job here, I'm trying to survive, I'm trying to feed my family as an artist. But then at the end of the day, ni kama anajenga, mwingine anabomoa.